Sarah Chen opened her eyes slowly. Her head hurt badly. The last thing she remembered was her ship's alarms, screaming as something big appeared on her screens. Now she was lying on a cold metal floor in what looked like a prison cell. The walls around her were made of some kind of clear crystal. She could see through them easily. Outside her cell was a large room filled with strange machines and blinking lights. Everything looked alien and wrong. Sarah sat up carefully. Her body ached all over. She was still wearing her spacesuit. But someone had taken her helmet and tools. The air smelled different here. It was breathable, but it had a sharp smell like burnt metal. She walked to the crystal wall and pressed her hand against it. It was warm and hummed with some kind of energy. When she pushed harder, nothing happened. The wall was solid and strong. "You are awake," a deep voice said behind her. Sarah spun around. A creature stood outside her cell. It was tall, maybe 8 feet, with 4 arms and legs that bent the wrong way. Its skin looked like dark metal armor, covered in old scars and dents. 4 amber eyes stared at her from a face that looked like a mix between a lizard and an insect. "My name is Thakmor," the creature said. Its voice came from a device on its chest, translating its words into English. "I am a warrior of the Veltar Empire. You are my prisoner." Sarah tried to keep her voice steady. "Where am I? What happened to my ship?" Thakmor pointed to a large window on the far wall. Sarah could see the black of space through it. Floating in the darkness were the broken pieces of her exploration ship. The metal pieces caught the light from distant stars. "Your vessel entered our restricted space," Thakmor said. "We destroyed it as we do all ships that come here without permission. You survived because we needed a live human to study." Study?" Sarah asked. "Why do you need to study humans?" Thakmor's 4 eyes blinked in a pattern. Sarah thought it might be how his people showed emotion, but she could not tell what he was feeling. "Your species is next on our list," he said simply. "The Veltar Empire has conquered 17 star systems. We have destroyed hundreds of primitive species. Soon, we will reach your home world. Earth, you call it." Sarah felt cold fear in her stomach. "How soon?" 7 cycles. "In your time, about 3 months." Thakmor walked closer to the crystal wall. "The cleansing fleet is already moving toward your system. Nothing can stop it." "Cleansing?" Sarah asked, though she already knew what he meant. "We eliminate primitive species before they can become threats. It is better this way, quick and clean. Most species never know what happens." Thakmor studied her face. "But humans, there is something different about humans. The War Council wants to understand you first." Sarah pressed both hands against the crystal wall. "We're not a threat to anyone. We've never even left our own solar system, except for a few explorer ships like mine. That is what our reports say." Thakmor agreed. "Humans have weak bodies. No natural armor or weapons. Short lives. Average intelligence. By all measures, you should be easy to eliminate." "Then why study us?" Sarah asked. Thakmor was quiet for a long moment. His amber eyes studied her carefully. "Because the first scout team that encountered your kind sent back a priority message. It said to destroy humanity immediately. Do not wait. Do not give them time." "Time for what?" "No one knows." The scout team was destroyed before they could explain. Their ship was found drifting in space, all crew dead. The ship's data files had been wiped clean. Thakmor's scarred face showed something that might have been confusion. The War Council decided to learn more before the cleansing begins. Sarah felt her heart beating faster. "What happened to the scout team?" "We do not know. That is why you are here." Thakmor activated something on his arm. The crystal wall made a soft sound, and part of it disappeared, creating an opening. "I will study you, learn what makes humans different. Then the cleansing will begin." 2 smaller aliens entered the cell. They had 6 arms each, and moved like spiders. They carried strange tools and devices. Sarah backed away from them. But there was nowhere to go. Do not resist, Thakmor said. I wish to understand your species, not torture you. Answer my questions honestly, and you will be treated well. And if I don't answer? Thakmor tilted his head. Then I will learn what I need from your body after you die. The choice is yours. The spider-like aliens began setting up their equipment around the cell. Sarah realized they were preparing to run tests on her. Medical tests, probably. What do you want to know? She asked. Everything. Thakmor replied. How you think. How you fight. How you solve problems. How you react to fear and pain and loss. He paused. Mostly, I want to understand why the scout team was afraid of you. Sarah almost laughed. Afraid? Of humans? We don't even have weapons that could hurt ships like yours. That is what makes it strange, Thakmor admitted. The scout team leader was Kral Voth. He had conquered 12 systems personally. He had never sent a priority warning before. He had never recommended immediate action against any species. The spider aliens finished setting up their equipment. Screens and machines surrounded Sarah's cell now. She could see her own heartbeat displayed on one screen. What was he afraid of? Sarah asked. I do not know, Thakmor said. But I will find out. Before the cleansing fleet arrives at Earth, I will understand what makes humans dangerous. Sarah sat down on the cold floor. She looked at the broken pieces of her ship floating in space. Somewhere out there, Earth was going about its normal day. People were working, children were playing, families were having dinner. None of them knew that death was coming in 3 months. Before you die, I'll tell you who humans truly are, Thakmor said quietly. It sounded almost like a promise. But first, you will tell me. The tests began that day. Sarah had no choice but to cooperate. But as the machines hummed around her, and Thakmor watched with his 4 amber eyes, she made her own promise. If humans were going to die, she would make sure this alien warrior understood exactly what he was destroying. Maybe that knowledge would matter somehow. Maybe it would make a difference. She just had to survive long enough to find out. 3 days passed in the crystal cell. Sarah had lost count of the tests. Thakmor and his spider-like assistants ran her through dozens of different challenges every day. They tested her strength. Sarah could lift maybe 40 pounds over her head. The machines recorded this with what sounded like disappointment. They tested her speed. Sarah could run for maybe 10 minutes before getting tired. Again, the machines seemed unimpressed. They tested her problem-solving skills. Sarah solved puzzles and math problems while Thakmor watched. She did okay, but nothing amazing. Just average human intelligence. Your physical abilities are weak, Thakmor said on the 4th day. He was reading data from a glowing tablet. Your mental capabilities are adequate, but not exceptional. Your lifespan is very short compared to most spacefaring species. Sarah was sitting on the floor, tired from the morning's tests. Sorry to disappoint you. You misunderstand, Thakmor said. I am not disappointed. I am confused. He set down his tablet and looked at her with all 4 eyes. The Veltar Empire has encountered over 200 species. We study each one before conquest. Never have we seen results like yours. What do you mean? Most primitive species show some advantage. The Krath were incredibly strong. The Zilani were very fast. The Mordath could see in complete darkness. Thakmor paced back and forth outside her cell. But humans, you have no special abilities at all. Sarah shrugged. Maybe that's why you're not afraid of us. But we are afraid of you, Thakmor said quietly. That is the problem. He activated a wall screen. Images appeared showing different alien species. Sarah saw creatures with claws like swords, others with skin like armor, some with multiple heads. These are the species we have conquered, Thakmor explained. Each had natural advantages. Each put up fierce resistance. But all fell to superior Veltar technology and tactics. The screen changed. Now it showed files marked with symbols that looked like warnings. These are the restricted files about humanity, Thakmor continued. Most of the data has been hidden from me. But what I can read, Makes no sense. Sarah stood up and walked closer to the crystal wall. What does it say? It says that humans are classified as a priority extinction event. The highest threat level we have. Higher than the Krath, who destroyed 3 of our battle fleets. Higher than the Mordith, who could become invisible. That's impossible, Sarah said. We don't even have faster than light travel yet. My ship was running on experimental engines. I know, Throckmore said. That is what confuses me. He touched the screen and the files disappeared. Tell me about your people. Not facts. Stories. Sarah wasn't sure what he meant. Stories? How do humans behave when facing danger? What do you do when someone threatens your family? How do you react to loss? Sarah thought for a moment. Then she told him about the great earthquake that hit Japan in 2011. How ordinary people walked into radioactive zones to save strangers. How they stayed at their posts to prevent nuclear meltdowns, knowing they might die. Throckmore listened without speaking. She told him about firefighters who ran into burning buildings on September 11th. About passengers on Flight 93 who fought hijackers even though they knew the plane would crash. About doctors who stayed with patients during plagues. These are just stories, Throckmore said when she finished. But his voice sounded uncertain. No, Sarah said. These are facts. This is what humans do. But why? Throckmore asked. Why sacrifice your own life for strangers? It makes no logical sense. Because they're not strangers, Sarah explained. They're people. Human people. If we don't help each other, who will? Throckmore was quiet for a long time. Sarah could see his amber eyes blinking in that strange pattern again. The next day, the tests changed. Instead of physical challenges, Throckmore showed her recorded battles from Veltar history. He wanted to see how she would react to combat situations. Sarah watched as Veltar fleets destroyed alien worlds. The aliens fought back, but their tactics were predictable. They used their natural advantages but never adapted when those advantages failed. How would humans fight this battle? Throckmore asked, replaying a scene where a Krath army charged directly at Veltar positions. We wouldn't, Sarah said. What do you mean? We wouldn't fight that battle, Sarah explained. Look, the Krath are strong and fast, but they're attacking across open ground. A human commander would never order a direct charge like that. What would humans do? Sarah studied the battlefield on the screen. We'd find another way. Maybe attack at night when the Veltar can't see as well. Or create a distraction and attack from the side. Or find a way to make the Veltar come to us instead. But the Krath were much stronger than humans, Throckmore pointed out. Strength doesn't matter if you use it wrong, Sarah said. Humans learned that thousands of years ago. We're not the strongest animals on Earth, but we became the dominant species anyway. How? We learned to use tools. We learned to work together. Most importantly, we learned to think before we act. Sarah pointed at the screen. These Krath warriors are brave, but they're not thinking. They're just using their strength the same way their ancestors did. Throckmore played more battle recordings. Each time, Sarah pointed out how humans would approach the problem differently. Not with superior strength or speed, but with different thinking. You change your tactics based on the enemy, Throckmore observed. Of course, Sarah said. Every enemy is different. Every situation is different. You have to adapt. But how do you learn to adapt so quickly? Sarah smiled sadly. Because we've had lots of practice. Humans have been fighting each other for thousands of years. We've tried every possible way to win, and every possible way to lose. We learned from all of it. That night, after the tests ended, Throckmore came back to her cell. He looked troubled. I have been reading more files, he said. The few that are not restricted. What do they say? They describe the first contact with your species. 40 cycles ago, one of our scout ships found a single human vessel. A colony ship. Traveling very slowly between stars. Sarah leaned forward. She had never heard of any human colony ships. The scout ship destroyed it easily, Throckmore continued. But some humans escaped in small pods. The scout team followed them to a nearby planet. What happened? The humans on that planet were primitive. They had basic tools and simple weapons. The scout team could have eliminated them easily. Throckmore paused. But they did not. Why not? Because they wanted to study human behavior, as I am studying you. They set up a hidden base and watched the human colony for several years. Sarah felt a chill. What did they learn? That is where the files become restricted, Throckmore said. But the last unrestricted entry is very strange. It says, recommend immediate withdrawal. Humans adapting faster than anticipated. Request priority extinction authorization for entire species. What happened to the scout team? Their ship was found drifting in space 3 years later. All crew dead. No signs of weapons damage. The ship's computers had been completely wiped clean. Sarah stared at Throckmore. You think the humans on that planet killed them? I do not know, Throckmore admitted. But I am beginning to understand why the War Council is afraid of your species. Because we adapt? No, Throckmore said slowly. Because you adapt while fighting. Most species adapt over generations. But humans can change their thinking in the middle of a battle. You learn from your losses, and use that knowledge immediately. Sarah nodded. That's what humans do. We survive. Throckmore looked at the data tablet in his hands. The cleansing fleet will reach Earth in 4 more cycles. I must understand what makes humans dangerous before they arrive. Thanks for watching. Maybe humans aren't dangerous, Sarah suggested. Maybe we're just different. Different enough to destroy a Veltar scout team, Throckmore replied. Different enough to frighten the War Council. That makes you dangerous. He walked away, leaving Sarah alone in her crystal cell. Outside the window, the pieces of her ship still floated in space. But now she wondered if maybe, just maybe, other ships might be coming. Ships filled with humans who had learned that one of their own was missing. Ships crewed by people who never left anyone behind. On the 7th day of Sarah's captivity, alarms began screaming throughout Throckmore's ship. Sarah was in the middle of another test when red lights started flashing everywhere. The spider-like aliens dropped their equipment and ran toward the door. Throckmore's amber eyes went wide. What's happening? Sarah asked. Throckmore was reading his tablet frantically. Ships. Human ships. They found us. He activated the wall screen. Sarah could see space outside the ship. In the distance, small dots of light were moving toward them. The dots looked tiny compared to Throckmore's massive vessel. How many? Sarah asked. 17 small ships, Throckmore said. He sounded confused. They are primitive craft. Our sensors show they have basic weapons and simple armor. One of his crew members spoke to him in their alien language. Throckmore listened and then shook his head. My weapons officer says we can destroy all 17 ships in less than 2 minutes, he told Sarah. This rescue attempt is pointless. Sarah felt her heart speed up. People had come for her. She didn't know how they had found this ship. But somehow, they had tracked her down. You should surrender, she said to Throckmore. The alien warrior made a sound that might have been laughter. Your ships are like insects attacking a giant. Watch. The screen changed to show the view from Throckmore's weapons. Lines of energy shot out from his ship toward the approaching human vessels. Sarah held her breath, but the human ships didn't fly straight toward Throckmore's vessel like she expected. Instead, they spread out in a strange pattern. Some flew high, others low. A few actually flew backward, away from Throckmore's ship. The energy weapons missed most of their targets. What are they doing? Throckmore muttered. More energy blasts fired from his ship. This time they hit 3 human vessels. Sarah watched in horror as the ships exploded in silent flashes of light. But the other human ships kept coming. And they were doing something very strange. They are using debris, Throckmore said in disbelief. They are flying through the wreckage of their own destroyed ships. Sarah looked closer at the screen. He was right. The human ships were collecting pieces of their destroyed companions. They were using the metal debris like a shield. Throckmore's weapons fired again. But this time, The energy beams hit the debris field instead of the ships. The metal fragments absorbed or deflected most of the damage. Impossible, Throckmore said. No species has ever used such tactics. Love, why not? Sarah asked. Because it requires sacrificing your own people. No military commander would order ships to be destroyed just to create cover for others. Sarah watched as more human ships reached the debris field. They were working together in perfect coordination. When one ship's shield of debris got too damaged, another ship would share its collection, unless the crews volunteered, Sarah said quietly. Throckmore turned to stare at her. What? The ships that got destroyed first. I bet their crews volunteered to go first. They knew they would probably die, but they did it anyway to help the others. Throckmore's 4 eyes blinked rapidly. That is completely illogical. Not to humans, Sarah said. The human ships were getting closer now. Throckmore's weapons kept firing, but the debris field was making it hard to aim, and every time a human ship was destroyed, the others collected its pieces and kept coming. Sir, one of Throckmore's crew called out. They are jamming our targeting systems. How? Throckmore demanded. Unknown. The jamming signal is coming from the debris field itself. Sarah smiled despite the danger. They turned the wreckage into a weapon. The human ships had reached close range now. They were too small to seriously damage Throckmore's massive vessel, but they weren't trying to destroy it. Instead, they were targeting specific systems. They are attacking our engines, Throckmore realized. And our communications array. Small explosions bloomed across the hull of Throckmore's ship. The lights in Sarah's cell flickered. She could hear the deep vibrations of the ship's systems being damaged. Why target those systems? Throckmore wondered aloud. Because they don't want to destroy the ship, Sarah explained. They want to capture it. They know I'm in here. More explosions rocked the ship. Throckmore's crew was shouting reports in their alien language. Sarah could tell from their voices that things were going badly. This should not be possible, Throckmore said. Our ship is 1,000 times more powerful than their entire fleet. But their fleet is thinking, Sarah pointed out. Your ship is just following standard combat procedures. The attacks suddenly stopped. On the screen, Sarah could see the human ships pulling back to a safe distance. Throckmore's ship was still functional, but barely. Smoke was coming from several hull breaches. Why did they retreat? Throckmore asked. His weapons officer spoke up. Throckmore listened, and then cursed in his own language. What? Sarah asked. They damaged our faster-than-light drive, Throckmore said. We cannot escape, and they damaged our long-range communications. We cannot call for help, so you're trapped, Sarah said. Yes, but so are they. Throckmore activated his weapon systems. Their ships are too small to seriously damage us, but we can still destroy them if they attack again. The screen showed the human fleet regrouping in the distance. Sarah counted only 11 ships left out of the original 17. 6 crews had died to get this far. Then something appeared on the screen that made Throckmore freeze. More ships, he whispered. A second wave of human vessels was approaching. This group was larger, maybe 30 ships. They looked different from the first wave, like they had been built for a different purpose. How? Throckmore demanded. Where did they come from? Sarah felt a surge of hope and pride. They called for backup. But we jammed their communications during the battle. The first wave wasn't trying to rescue me, Sarah realized. They were gathering intelligence, learning how your ship works, what its weaknesses are. Now they're sharing that information with the second wave. The new human ships approached cautiously. But instead of attacking immediately, they began working with the survivors from the first wave. Together, they started building something in space. What are they constructing? Throckmore asked. Sarah watched as the human ships connected their debris field into a larger structure. It looked like they were building a giant net around Throckmore's vessel. They're going to surround you, she said. Cut off all your escape routes. But that will take hours, Throckmore protested. My reinforcements will arrive long before they finish. Will they? Sarah asked. You said your communications were damaged. Throckmore's face went pale. No one knows we are here. The human construction continued through the day. Sarah watched as more ships arrived periodically, each group bringing new equipment and ideas. The humans were building their trap piece by piece, learning and adapting as they worked. During this time, something unexpected happened. A power surge in Throckmore's damaged ship caused a fire in the engine room. The alien crew panicked, not knowing how to fix the unfamiliar damage the humans had caused. Sarah surprised everyone, including herself, by offering to help. I know human technology, she told Throckmore. I can see what they did to your engines. Maybe I can help you fix them. Throckmore stared at her in disbelief. Your own people are attacking this ship. Why would you help us? Because if this ship explodes, we all die, Sarah said practically, including me. It was a strange situation. While human ships built their trap outside, Sarah worked alongside Throckmore's crew to repair the damage her own people had caused. She showed them how to reroute power around damaged systems and how to patch the hull breaches. Throckmore watched her work with growing amazement. You are helping your enemies, he said. Right now, we're not enemies, Sarah replied as she sealed a power coupling. Right now, we're all just people trying not to die in space. But your people outside still want to capture this ship. Yes, Sarah agreed. And when they do, I'll help them. But until then, I don't want any of us to suffocate or burn to death. Throckmore was quiet for a long moment. I do not understand humans. We do what makes sense in each situation, Sarah explained. Right now, keeping this ship running makes sense. Later, helping my people will make sense. Even though you know I was planning to study your species before destroying your world? Sarah paused in her work and looked at him. Yes. Because I think you're starting to understand something about humans that your war council missed. What? We don't give up, Sarah said. Ever. And we don't leave people behind if we can help it. Your scout team found that out 40 years ago. Outside, the human ships continued their work. The trap was almost complete. Soon, Throckmore would have to make a choice. Surrender or fight a battle he could not win. But Sarah could see in his amber eyes that he was already starting to understand something that would change everything. He was beginning to see what humans truly were. The human fleet had completed their trap. Throckmore's ship now sat in the center of a massive cage made from connected debris and small human vessels. Every possible escape route was blocked, but the humans weren't attacking. They were just waiting. What are they doing? Throckmore asked, staring at the screens that showed his ship surrounded. Probably trying to figure out how to get me out without killing everyone, Sarah replied. She had finished helping repair the engine room and was back in her crystal cell. They could simply demand my surrender. They could, Sarah agreed. But they won't. Why not? Because they know you'll refuse. And if you refuse, people will die. They're looking for a better solution. Throckmore paced back and forth outside her cell. His amber eyes kept flicking between the screens, showing the human ships and his damaged control systems. I do not understand your species, he said for the 10th time that day. What specifically don't you understand? Everything. Throckmore stopped pacing and looked directly at her. Your tactics make no logical sense. You sacrifice ships to create debris fields. You work together with perfect coordination, even though each ship has its own commander. You adapt your strategy in the middle of battle. None of this should be possible. Why not? Because it requires too many things at once: individual creativity and group thinking, careful planning and instant adaptation, willingness to die for strangers, and determination to survive at all costs. Throckmore's voice was frustrated. Most species can do one or two of these things. Humans seem to do all of them at the same time. Before Sarah could answer, alarms started ringing again. But these weren't battle alarms. They sounded different. What now? Throckmore demanded. One of his crew members called out in their alien language. Throckmore listened, and then his face went very pale. What's wrong? Sarah asked. Our computer systems, Throckmore said slowly. Something is happening to our computer systems. He activated a control panel near Sarah's cell. Lines of text began scrolling across screens throughout the room, but it wasn't normal Veltar text. Sarah recognized some of the symbols. "That's human code," she said. "How?" Thakmor demanded. "Human technology is centuries behind ours. You should not be able to penetrate Veltar computer systems." "Maybe we learned," Sarah suggested. The scrolling text suddenly stopped. New files began appearing on Thakmor's screens. Files that had been locked away before. Files marked with the highest security symbols. "The restricted files," Thakmor breathed. "They are unlocking all the restricted files." Sarah watched as document after document appeared. Reports, battle analyses, reconnaissance data, and personal logs. All the information about humanity that the Veltar Empire had tried to hide. Thakmor began reading rapidly, his 4 eyes scanning multiple screens at once. As he read, his expression changed from confusion to alarm to something approaching terror. "What does it say?" Sarah asked. Thakmor was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was barely above a whisper. 40 cycles ago," he said. "The scout team that first encountered your species. The official report said they were killed by unknown causes. And the real report? The real report is here now." Thakmor touched one of the screens. Scout leader Kralvoth's personal log. He recorded everything before he died. The screen showed an image of another Veltar warrior. This one looked younger than Thakmor, with fewer scars. He was speaking rapidly in the Veltar language, but subtitles in English appeared at the bottom of the screen. "Day 847 of observation," the recorded Kralvoth said. "The human colony has begun producing technology that should not exist. They have somehow reverse-engineered our cloaking device from debris they found. This should be impossible with their primitive manufacturing capabilities." The recording jumped forward. "Day 923. The humans have improved our cloaking technology. Their version is more efficient than our original design. I do not understand how they accomplished this." Another jump. Day 1051. "The humans have developed weapons that can penetrate our shields. They built these weapons using principles they learned from studying our equipment. In 2 years, they have advanced from basic tools to technology that rivals our own." Thakmor paused the recording. "Do you see?" he asked Sarah. "They learned from your technology. But more than that, they improved it." "Humans are good at improving things," Sarah said. "We've always been good at that. But this fast? In just 2 years?" "When we have to," Sarah replied. "When our survival depends on it." The recording continued. Day 1203. "I have made a terrible mistake. The humans have detected our observation post. But instead of attacking, they have sent representatives to talk. They want to communicate." Sarah leaned forward. "What did they say?" Day 1247. Recorded Kralvoth continued. "I have met with the human leaders. They know we are studying them. They know we represent a spacefaring empire. They have one simple question. Are we friends or enemies?" The recording showed Kralvoth looking tired and worried. "I told them we were observers. They asked what we were observing them for. I could not answer honestly." Day 1290. "The humans have made a proposal. They want to share their technological improvements with us. In exchange, they want to learn about the galaxy beyond their world. They want to join the galactic community as equals." Thakmor made a sound of distress. Kralvoth should have reported this to the War Council immediately. "But he didn't?" Sarah asked. Day 1334. "I have decided to accept the human proposal. They are not primitive. They are simply young. Given time and knowledge, they could become valuable allies to the Empire." The recording jumped ahead again. Day 1401. "I have sent false reports to the War Council. I told them the human colony was eliminated. But the truth is, I have been teaching them. They learn faster than any species I have ever encountered." Sarah felt her heart racing. There's a human colony out there? With Veltar technology? Day 1489. The recording continued. The humans have mastered faster than light travel. They have built ships that are superior to our own designs. But more importantly, they have shared this knowledge with their homeworld. Earth now knows that aliens exist. Talkmore stopped the recording. This is where Kralvoth's personal logs become disturbing. How? Day 1523. The War Council has discovered my deception. They are sending a cleansing fleet to eliminate both the human colony and my team. The humans have detected the approaching ships. The recorded Kralvoth looked directly into the camera. Day 1525. The humans have made me an offer. They will help my crew escape before the cleansing fleet arrives. All they want in return is all of our knowledge about Veltar military capabilities. Did he accept? Sarah asked, though she thought she already knew the answer. Day 1527. I have given the humans everything. Ship designs, weapon specifications, tactical manuals, star charts. Everything. In return, they have provided my crew with new identities and safe passage to a neutral system. Thokmore's hands were shaking as he operated the controls. But Kralvoth himself stayed behind. Day 1530. Final log. The cleansing fleet will arrive tomorrow. My crew is safely away. The human colony has been evacuated. But I remain on my ship, alone. The recorded Kralvoth paused, looking sad and determined at the same time. I have realized something about humans that the War Council will never understand. They do not just learn from their experiences. They learn from everyone's experiences. Every human who encounters something new shares that knowledge with their entire species immediately. Sarah felt a chill of understanding. The humans I worked with were just one small colony, Kralvoth continued. But everything they learned from me has already been transmitted to Earth. Every improvement they made to our technology has been shared with every human in existence. The recording paused for a long moment. When Kralvoth spoke again, his voice was filled with something between admiration and terror. The War Council thinks they are planning to eliminate a primitive species. But they are wrong. By the time the cleansing fleet reaches Earth, humanity will be ready for them. More than ready. The recording ended. Thokmore stood in silence, staring at the blank screen. What happened to him? Sarah asked quietly. His ship was found drifting in space, Thokmore replied. All computer systems had been wiped clean. Kralvoth was dead at his post. How did he die? The medical examination showed no wounds, no poison, no signs of violence. Thokmore turned to look at her. He died of old age, but the records show that only 3 days passed between his final log and when his ship was found. Sarah stared at him. That's impossible. Yes, Thokmore agreed. Unless the humans had developed technology that could accelerate time, which should also be impossible. More files were still appearing on the screens around them. Reconnaissance reports from the past 40 years. Images of Earth's solar system. Pictures of human ships. Sarah looked at the most recent images and gasped. Earth was no longer the blue marble she remembered. The planet was surrounded by a massive ring of space stations and defensive platforms. Ships filled the space between Earth and Mars. Not primitive human ships, but advanced vessels that looked like they were built with technology from a dozen different alien species. How many? She whispered. Thokmore was reading the reconnaissance data with growing horror. 12,000 combat vessels, 400 space stations, orbital defense grids around Earth, Mars, and the asteroid belt. He looked at Sarah with all 4 of his amber eyes wide with fear. Your species has built the most powerful fleet in the galaxy, he said. And they did it in 40 years. Sarah smiled, despite everything. Humans are really good at learning from their mistakes. But we're even better at learning from other people's mistakes. The cleansing fleet, Thokmore said suddenly. What about it? It is not coming to destroy a primitive species. His voice was filled with dawning horror. It is flying straight into a trap. Thokmore stood frozen. staring at the images of Earth's defenses. Around them, his ship's systems continued to fail. The human virus had unlocked every file, but it had also damaged many of the ship's critical functions. "How long until your cleansing fleet arrives?" Sarah asked quietly. Throckmore checked his chronometer. "Less than 2 days. 16,000 ships. The largest battle fleet the Veltar Empire has ever assembled. And they don't know what they're flying into? No. They think they are attacking a primitive world with basic defenses." Throckmore activated another screen, showing the fleet composition. Dreadnoughts, battle cruisers, planetary bombardment ships. Everything needed to eliminate a species quickly and completely. Sarah studied the data. What would normally happen when a fleet like that attacks a world? "And the planet surrenders or dies within hours," Throckmore replied. "We have conquered 17 star systems this way. It has never failed." Thanks for watching. And long readers is off the Omonop something stock. The planet surrenders or dies within hours. Wears off too. And that problem entered ock. And that's 17 star system, but Earth won't surrender. No. Throckmore agreed. Humans do not surrender. I understand that now. He walked closer to her crystal cell, his amber eyes reflecting the red emergency lighting. But even with your advanced defenses, the battle will be costly. Millions will die. On both sides. Wars always cost millions of lives, Sarah said. That's why they should be avoided when possible. Is it possible to avoid this war? Sarah looked at him carefully. That depends on you. Throckmore was quiet for a long moment. Outside, the human fleet continued to wait patiently around his trapped ship. They had not demanded his surrender. They had not threatened to destroy his vessel. They were simply there, ready for whatever came next. I could warn the cleansing fleet, he said slowly. Tell them what they are really facing. You could, Sarah agreed. But your communications are damaged. I could repair them. Yes. But would you? Throckmore looked at the screens showing Earth's defenses. Ships and stations built with technology from multiple species, all improved by human ingenuity. Weapons and shields that combined the best ideas from across the galaxy. Your people did not steal this technology, he realized. They were given it freely. Some of it, Sarah said. Kralvoth gave them knowledge about the Veltar. But the rest came from other species your empire conquered. What do you mean? Sarah gestured toward the images on the screens. Look at those ship designs. That's not just Veltar technology. I can see elements from at least 6 different alien species. Throckmore studied the images more carefully. The engine design is Krath. Those weapon systems are Zilani. The hull configuration is Mordith. Survivors, Sarah explained. From all the worlds your empire destroyed. Refugees who made it to Earth before their planets fell. Impossible. We eliminated those species completely. You eliminated their worlds, Sarah corrected. But some individuals always escape. Always. And when they had nowhere else to go, they found Earth. Throckmore stared at her. Humans took in refugees from species they had never met? Of course. They were people in need. That's what humans do. But they were aliens. Completely different species. So? Sarah shrugged. Different doesn't mean enemy. Different just means different. Throckmore began reading through more of the unlocked files. Reports from Veltar intelligence agents described something that should have been impossible. A multi-species alliance centered around Earth. Krath engineers working alongside human scientists. Zilani pilots teaching human flight techniques. Mordith strategists sharing tactical knowledge. They all shared their knowledge with humans, he said in amazement. And humans shared their knowledge back, Sarah replied. That's how it works. You help us, we help you. Everyone gets stronger together. But humans gained the most from these exchanges. You went from primitive to advanced in just 4 decades. Yes. Sarah agreed. Because humans are very good at learning. But we're even better at teaching. Throckmore looked confused. Teaching? Look at those ship designs again. Really? Look at them. He studied the images on his screens. Slowly, his expression changed from confusion to understanding. The improvements, he whispered. The alien technologies are not just combined with human knowledge. They are improved far beyond what each species could do alone. When you teach something to a human, you don't just get that knowledge copied, Sarah explained. You get it back improved, made better. Then that better version gets shared with everyone, including the original species, of course. The Krath refugees working with humans now have access to engine technology that's better than anything their original empire ever built. The Zilani have weapons that are far superior to their old designs. Thakmor sat down heavily on the floor. For the first time since Sarah had met him, the great alien warrior looked completely overwhelmed. Do you understand now? Sarah asked gently. Why Earth took in refugees from conquered species? Not because you are weak and need allies, he said slowly. No. Because everyone deserves a chance to survive and grow. Because different species working together can accomplish things that none of them could do alone. Sarah paused. Because leaving people to die when you could help them is wrong. The ship shuddered as another system failed. Sparks flew from damaged control panels. The air recycling system made unhealthy grinding noises. My ship is dying, Thakmor observed. Yes, Sarah agreed. Your choice is simple. You can try to repair your communications and warn the cleansing fleet about what they're really attacking. Or you can do something else. What else? You can choose to stop the war before it starts. Thakmor looked at her with all four amber eyes. How? The human fleet out there isn't trying to capture your ship for military intelligence, Sarah said. They already have all the intelligence they need. They've been studying Veltar technology for 40 years. Then why are they here? Because they don't want to fight if they don't have to. Because they would rather save lives than take them. Sarah stood up and walked to the crystal wall. They're here to give you a choice. What choice? Join them. Help them contact your cleansing fleet. Explain what humans really are before the shooting starts. Thakmor was quiet for a long time. Around them, the ship continued to fail. Emergency lights flickered. Computer systems sparked and went dark. The War Council would never listen to me, he said finally. I am just one warrior. But you're a warrior who understands the truth about humans, Sarah replied. And that makes you the most important person in this part of the galaxy right now. What is the truth about humans? Thakmor asked. In your own words. What makes your species different from every other species the Veltar have encountered? Sarah thought for a moment before answering. We refuse to let anyone face the dark alone, she said. When someone needs help, we help them. When someone has knowledge, we share it. When someone makes a mistake, we learn from it so others don't have to make the same mistake. She gestured toward the screens showing Earth's defenses. Every ship out there, every space station, every weapon system, they all represent knowledge shared freely between species. Humans didn't build the most powerful fleet in the galaxy by conquering others. We built it by helping others. And they helped you in return. Yes. Because when you help people, they want to help you back. It's not complicated. Thakmor stood up slowly. He walked to his control console and began typing commands. What are you doing? Sarah asked. I am downloading everything, he replied. Every file about Veltar military capabilities. Every strategic plan. Every weakness in our fleet formations. To give to the humans? Yes. He paused in his typing and looked at her. Because you are right. The war can be stopped before it starts. But only if the humans understand exactly what they are facing. The cleansing fleet won't listen to warnings. No, Thakmor agreed. But they will listen to strength. If the humans can demonstrate overwhelming superiority without firing a shot, the Veltar commanders will be forced to negotiate. He finished downloading the data and activated a communication panel. Static filled the air as he tried to contact the human fleet outside. This is Thakmor of the Veltar Empire, he said in English. I wish to speak with your fleet commander. A human voice responded immediately. This is Admiral Martinez of the Earth Defense Force. We've been waiting for your call. Ah, I have information that will prevent a war, Thuckmore said. But I need guarantees. What kind of guarantees? That if I help you, you will give my people the same choice you gave the other refugee species. There was a pause. Then Admiral Martinez spoke again. The choice to join the Alliance instead of being destroyed? Yes. Done. But we'll need proof that you're serious. Thuckmore looked at Sarah. She nodded encouragingly. I am transmitting all Veltar military data to your fleet, he said. Strategic plans, ship specifications, fleet positions, command codes. Everything you need to end this conflict without unnecessary deaths. As the data upload began, Thuckmore's ship finally lost all power. Emergency systems kicked in, providing minimal life support. In the dim emergency lighting, Sarah could see Thuckmore's face clearly for the first time. He looked tired, but also somehow relieved. Before you die, I'll tell you who humans truly are, he said quietly, repeating the words that had started this journey. I'm not dying, Sarah pointed out. No, Thuckmore agreed. But the old universe is dying. The universe where strong species conquered weak ones. Where survival meant being willing to destroy others. He activated the controls that opened her crystal cell. Sarah stepped out for the first time in over a week. The new universe will be built on different principles, Thuckmore continued. Humans truly are the species that turns every ending into a beginning. Every defeat into a lesson. Every enemy into a potential friend. Outside the ship, the human fleet was already moving. Not to attack, but to escort Thuckmore's damaged vessel to safety. In the distance, Sarah could see larger ships approaching, hospital ships and repair vessels coming to help. What will happen to the cleansing fleet? She asked. They will arrive at Earth in 2 days, Thuckmore replied. And they will find a fleet 4 times larger than their own waiting for them. But instead of a battle, they will find an invitation. An invitation to what? To learn what humans truly are, Thuckmore said. And to choose whether they want to be part of the universe you are building, or prisoners of the universe they are trying to preserve. As rescue ships docked with Thuckmore's vessel, Sarah realized that this moment would be remembered in the history books, not as the day humans fought off an alien invasion, but as the day the galaxy discovered what humans had always known. Everyone deserves a chance to choose who they want to be, and no one has to face the dark alone.